us for the September 4th Board of Education meeting. As we call to order this evening, I do want to remind everyone, if you plan to make a public comment this evening, please fill out a comment card and get it to Mrs. Callard at this time if you've not already done so. At this time, I would also like to ask everyone to silence their cell phones and remove your hats as we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, can we do the roll call, please, Mrs. Callard?
Haney.
Present.
Hanson.
Present.
Maker.
Present.
Montague.
Present.
Murphy.
Present.
Reinerson.
Present.
And Locke.
Present. All right, I need a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
So moved. Support.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the agenda as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. First up this evening, as usual, are reports and announcements, and our student board representative this evening may be coming in a little later. She had volleyball practice, so we'll skip by her report for this evening, and we will move along to Mr. Soselski with the superintendent's report.
Thank you, and welcome everybody. Welcome to the newly renovated Linden High School. First and foremost, thank you for your support, because without the community support, we would not be able to provide these type of opportunities for our students. So you probably didn't have a chance to walk around the building, but if you ever do get a chance, some of the renovations really from top to bottom that have taken place in this building, as well as Linden Elementary, are phenomenal. So I'd like to thank Greg Vadasz. We'll speak later on some bond updates. But without his diligence to the plans and the direction, we definitely would not be in the situation that we're in. So thank you very much, Greg. I do have some things to report out on. In regards to public comments, last week at our last meeting on August 14th, 2024, Tara Phillips, Tabitha Ramberg, and Shelley, please correct me, Urban, spoke to the adoption of Linden Community School Board Policy 2264, non-discrimination on the basis of sex in education programs or activities. I was able to have a conversation with Ms. Ramberg, and I left phone messages with Ms. Phillips and Ms. Urban. On August 16th, 2024, I sent out a letter to our families that answered several of the questions and provided more detail about the policies. On August 28th, 2024, last Thursday, we were notified by our legal counsel that Linden Community Schools had 5 buildings that had been added to the United States District Court for the District of Kansas preliminary injunction list filed by the Moms of Liberty, Young America's Foundation, and Female Athletes United in Kansas versus the United States Department of Ed. Linden's 5 buildings that are on the list: Hyatt Elementary, Linden Elementary, Central Elementary, Linden Middle School, and Linden High School. What does this mean to Linden Community Schools? The United States Department of Education has released guidance that the 2020 Title IX regulations will be followed for complaints of discrimination involving the 5 buildings on the injunction list, which is Linden Community School, involving the 5 buildings on the injunction list. Those 5 buildings will follow Linden Community School Board Policy 2266, non-discrimination on the basis of sex in education programs or activities. And in the continuation of that title, the board's policy and grievance procedures for responding to sexual harassment alleged to have occurred prior to 8/1 of 2024. This policy has been in place since its adoption by the Linden Community School Board of Education on August 5th, 2020. For Linden Community School facilities that are not on the injunction list, if a complaint is reported, we'll follow Linden Community School Board Policy 2264, non-discrimination on the basis of sex in education programs or activities. That was adopted July 17, 2024. Regardless of the policies that need to be followed, the day-to-day operations of Linden Community School pertaining to student protections will not change. Our district has consistently adhered to all laws and regulations to ensure compliance. As federal and state laws evolve, so do our policies. We will continue to monitor the ongoing litigation, and until subsequent rulings from the courts are issued that will provide clarity concerning the status of Title IX regulations and the United States Department of Education's ability to implement such regulations. Linden Community Schools will continue to adhere to all laws, regulations, and guidance regarding Title IX. To continue on with some reports, boxing on August 17th, 2024, Linden Community Schools hosted a professional boxing match on Claude Cranston Field. The event was fantastic, and I would like to thank Spencer Promotions for their trust in Linden Community Schools to make this event a success. I would also like to thank Spencer Promotions for their generous donation of $2,000. Transportation. We are aware of ongoing transportation issues. Since school started, we have continued to experience split and combined routes, sub-drivers who have difficulty with the routes, late buses, students not being on the right buses, buses doing their routes backwards, causing time delays, buses not showing up in last-minute communication from transportation. This is unacceptable, and we have and will continue to address these issues with Dean Transportation. Our expectation is to provide a timely and safe commute for our students to and from school. Minus the transportation situation, we have had a great start to the 24-25 school year. Walking through the buildings and talking with staff and students, you can see and hear the excitement of a new school year. Congratulations to all staff and students on a wonderful start. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you, Russ. Are there any board members with reports this evening? Mr. Maker?
Thank you, Mrs. Luck. I just wanted to follow up on the boxing event. I think it was a great opportunity for Linden Community Schools and Linden Community to showcase our facilities here at a very unique event. I think we had some good coverage in the media following that event, but I think more than anything, it was a chance to bring our current students together and have them supporting and showing their support for former Linden students who are now in the professional athletic arena. I think it was great interaction we saw between our football team, our cheerleaders, and also the Linden High School marching band who was present to support the activities when Joey Spencer and his brother came out. So I just think it was a great evening. I was glad to be there and support the Spencers and the entire community being there. My last piece is just, as Mr. Sazelski mentioned, the new facilities here. This is my first chance to walk into the building since they were completed. And I talked to quite a few staff members and some members of the community who have been in the buildings, and I think everyone has just been awestruck by what they see when they walk through the doors. From what we had previously to what we have today is a major shift in the newness to what's always been here. In fact, just as I was, just before the meeting, I escorted some parents down to the cafeteria area, and the kids and the parents were all like, wow, this is really cool. So thanks to Greg, Vadasz, to Russ, and all the staff and everyone involved in this whole process to kind of get us to this point. I think the investment is well worth it, and I think our kids now and into the future are really going to benefit by the changes and everything that's gone on here. So thanks, Russ.
All right, thank you, Mr. Maker. Any other board members with reports this evening? Ms. Hanson?
So I don't know if I told all the board members, but I was appointed to MASB's Government Relations Committee recently. And for those who don't know, the purpose is to review legislative proposals and then determine whether they warrant support and then make a recommendation to the board of directors. So I had my first meeting last month in Lansing, and then we continue to meet once a month to review things.
Awesome, that's great. Thank you, Brooke. That's amazing that we have our own board member part of that committee so that we can get firsthand information on things that are going on at the state level and hear about things from other districts outside of just emails as well. So the only update I had is Mr. Rainierson and myself attended the Welcome Back for Staff and Teachers on August 21st. It was a breakfast in the morning over at the middle school, and we were able to join the staff there and say a few words on behalf of the board, welcoming everyone back. So thank you, John, for attending that as well. And then just a reminder to the board members here in front of us, for Mrs. Keller's purposes of note-taking, to make sure we're speaking clearly into the microphone. We raise our hand when voting, and if you want to speak during this discussion, raise your hand. And I'm going to tell you right now, Mr. Vadasz won't want to hear this, but I'm probably going to be the first person to break one of these new mics because it doesn't move and I'm short. So I'm going to be constantly like trying to be taller than I am to talk into this thing, but anyway. And yeah, I echo Mr. Maker's sentiments on all the work done over the summer at the high school and other areas of our district. It definitely is amazing and has not gone unnoticed, so thank you to everyone involved in that as well. We do not have any special presentations or recognitions this evening, but we do have one administrative update from Mr. Vadasz on the bond.
Good evening. Thank you for the kind words. At this point, we're 4 years into construction as part of the bond, but truly we're 6 years of planning. So the whole process started much sooner than the construction actually did. I was reviewing some of my information today, and really in November of 18 is really when we started working with Bart and Allen, kind of looking at what this would look like and trying to brainstorm and come up with the ideas, that we finally put on paper and presented to the community. And, one of our goals as we went through this, we've had some struggles with financials because of the cost of construction. And we've been very diligent to do everything we can to try and stay the course and make sure that we're hitting all the marks and making, fulfilling all the promises that we made. And we said that all along, and I think we've done a good job of doing that. At this point, we really haven't had to pare back or do things that made significant changes to the scope of the bond. And I just wanted to do basically kind of a follow-up where we're at to date. And this is kind of the tail end of Series 2. We're basically, at the tail end, have a few dollars left in the kitty to finish up the things that we need to do, but we basically have spent out everything, and come this spring, we will be selling the bonds for the final series, and then get into the next final phase of construction. So I'll start. I'm not going to start with multi-purpose. Last time I did that, we've been in that building now for a year and a half, basically, and everything is good. We're fine-tuned and getting good use out of that facility. So I'll start at Linden Elementary School. We had some things that we did in that building that we had talked about for quite some time. And before we get into that, back in August of 2022 is when we completed construction and got occupancy from the state of Michigan, from building department and fire marshal. As you'll see on my slide, the previous fire marshal, after he came in and did his inspections, he never filed his final reports and submitted them to the system that they have at the state. He then left and went to work for the state of Michigan in the fireworks division, leaving those reports unfinished. We have a new fire marshal that took over for the previous one. Tom Ford is a local, he's a Linden guy. John Smith is the fire marshal that was here previously. So basically, in order to close out the documents, he wanted to come in and do an inspection. That didn't happen until this past May, right at the tail end of the school year. We basically did an entire re-inspection of the entire building, looked at the fire alarm, and he basically, the new fire marshal, in his opinion, we had spaces that were getting utilized for educational purposes that, in our opinion, were truly offices where we had individuals that work there, but they may have students that come in and work one-on-one with them. When he was there, he saw the setups. In some cases, there were 3 or 4 chairs, and he considered those not truly offices, but educational areas where people can be working with students. What it entails is we're going to have to add devices, the strobes and the horns and things in 3 spaces that he now considers to be educational. It's something we have to do. We're going to work with him. The cost should be relatively insignificant, although the contractor that was here on site is gone. So the 2 contractors, electrical contractors that we've worked with and that we're working with over at the Early Childhood Center will give us some numbers to kind of get those up to speed so we can get that closed out. So that's kind of where we're at with that. The extra doors, after we finished the bond program, there were other interior doors throughout the building that weren't on our first pass. They were, we did all the classrooms, the areas where we tried to secure people, any of that type of stuff. There were other ancillary doors all around that didn't have that same critical nature that we didn't do the first pass. We ended up getting some safety and security money. We had some leftover bond monies. So we went through that building and we replaced the remainder of the doors, regardless of what space it was in front of. That work has been completed, all the new hardware. So now we have the safety hardware, the quick deadbolt latches on everything, regardless of what the space might be. So that work has been completed. The only other outstanding work that's to be done there, and we bid this out with the Early Childhood Center, and I spoke, I think, back in April or May when we had the board approve the work for early childhood, is we are going to put a new facade on the entry to Linden Elementary School that matches multi-purpose building, that matches the new facade that you would have seen tonight when you walked in where it says Linden High School. That same silver and red look is what we're going to be putting on all of the facilities. Originally, when Linden L went out to bid, we had something that was probably, it was overkill. You know, we were trying to identify the location where people are going to enter the building, what's the main entry. So we kind of took a step back, we pulled that back out, we rebid it to try and get something that was a little more affordable. And again, that was approved with the early childhood center work, but it won't happen until the summer of '25. So next summer, we will finish the facade on the front of the entry at Linden Elementary School. Linden High School. As you know, we've been working in this building since a year ago. We worked all through the year. We wrapped up the work in this building this past summer. We had full occupancy granted by the state of Michigan on August 14th. The entire building has brand new HVAC systems. If it wasn't something that was put in within the last 6 years, it's new. Astronomical amount of work above and behind doors and ceilings and things that you can't see. The infrastructure in the building has completely been updated. We have systems in here that should take this building through the next 50 years. So there's nothing in this building that is not new at this point. Electrical systems, lighting systems, technology systems, and HVAC systems. We're still, as you can imagine, with brand new systems that are re-engineered and engineered to today's standards with today's requirements for fresh air. We have a lot of tweaking. You know, we do air balancing and water balancing and all those kinds of things to make sure the systems are engineered. But then you have to go a step further and do things to make sure that occupants are comfortable in the systems. You understand the systems and they recover and they, you know, a lot of stuff like that. So my background before coming here had a lot to do with that. I spent the last 30 years here, or almost 30 years here doing this kind of stuff. So I have a good feel for what needs to be done, working with the BAS contractor right now to make sure that we fine tune all the systems and get everything the way that we want it. The auditorium light system, the theatrical lighting system in the auditorium, and just the general lighting that we use if we use it as a classroom, all of that has been replaced. It is all functional. They're fine tuning those systems right now, and then we will have a process where we will be training the occupants of the building, people that are going to use that space, how this new, because it's very technical. So we'll be doing training on that here within the next few weeks, so we can start utilizing that space again. The furnishings for the building, all the furnishings that the board approved through the years, everything that we had approved and bought is in place. As you can see, most of the things in this building are new, or in this space are new. Everything in this building is new. There's a few things that were kept, but for the most part, the furnishings in this building from wall to wall, end to end, are new. We have very little that we kept and are reusing. A lot of beautiful stuff. A lot of functional stuff. The STEM room, if we have a chance to take people and show the STEM and robotics, the furnishings and the equipment that we have in there is second to none. The digital trophy case, that's still in the works. We actually have the digital display up. We're waiting on the 2 trophy cases that are going to house some of the relevant things that are within the last few years. That should be coming here in the next few weeks, and we'll get that area wrapped up and get all the stuff uploaded into the system so that digital trophy case is up and running. The Hall of Fame, for those that know the building on South End by the gym, we had the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame is still there, but there were archways on either end of a little section of corridor that they kind of created a little nook that was known as the Hall of Fame forever, before I came. It was wrapped and what have you. Both inspectors from the state of Michigan said it was absolutely no-go. They were made out of combustible materials, and also it closed the corridor space down too much for an emergency. The egress from the building, didn't meet code. They made us take it out before they would give us occupancy. We took it out, painted the area. We'll have to look at what we do to kind of recreate some kind of you know, an atmosphere for that Hall of Fame. But that's something that's in the works. The intent is to kind of redo that and you know, modernize the Hall of Fame. So this was something that came on kind of late in the summer. We weren't really planning to do, but we really had no choice in order to move forward. And lastly, it's really at this point, we are doing what we call punch list items, all kinds of things that need to happen, programming lights, finalizing equipment, you know, schedules, paint touch-ups, caulking, flooring, stuff falling off the wall, you know, all of that. So we have probably another good month of punch list items, adjusting doors. We have the manufacturer coming through, making sure all the door hardware operates just like it should and everything. You know, there's no snags or hang-ups, so they'll spend 2 or 3 days coming through the buildings, just making sure all the door hardware and classroom functions work like they should, and we can secure people quickly. So overall, I think it's a game changer for the high school. You know, the painting is something that, of the brick, Russ and I kind of dreamt up and had some testing done. A lot of this was to remain. It was going to stay the same brown because there was so much of it. And when we did a little some testing to see kind of what it looked like, it just changed the whole look of this facility and just how modern it looks. So I think that's probably the most shocking thing to people when they walk in and when they don't see all the brown brick everywhere, and see it painted out in this light, you know, modern grayish color that it just looks really, really nice. We're very pleased. Hyatt Elementary, early childhood. We had a couple of bid packages that came to the board way back when. The intent was to do the demolition and all the asbestos abatement out of that area starting in June. We did a little bit over spring break, then we closed shop up and then started again right after school got out. And at the tail end of July, the demolition and abatement, basically everything from the floor upward as far as demolition was completed. We now are removing concrete, or actually we have taken concrete out, so we're doing underground plumbing, underground electrical, and a lot of that type of stuff. But as far as the demolition work, and all the dirty work, and all the abatement, that was done when everyone was gone. We have various trades that are in there working right now. Actually, the mechanical contractor is doing the duct and piping. He's probably 70% complete. You know, they've slowed up a little bit because now we're working over trenches that have been cut in concrete and over plywood. But we really fell out of this job and into the next one, and we're full speed ahead over there at Hyatt right now. The playground equipment, I talked about this before. The site package was separate from the building, early child. The board has already approved that. The playground package itself, we're going to be putting out on September the 10th, and we will be getting that package back on the 26th. It is our hope that that comes in the $315,000 range is kind of what our budget is for the playground equipment. Once we have that, we'll be bringing that obviously back to the board for approval, and we'll review that with you. Site work that was previously approved by the board, again, that will not start until next summer, so the minute school gets out, all of the site work at Hyatt will begin. And then we've talked a little bit over the summer, now that this is kind of in full swing of what that transition looks like, and we've had some different ideas. I think the consensus is it makes the most sense to do that transition at the tail end of next summer. We will have the construction and the building ready. Prior to that, we won't have the site work done, we won't have the playground in place. I think the staff there at Argentine feel that it makes the most sense to hang tight, and when they're done, and have that transition be clean for those kids to leave and then come back to a new facility. So even though it should be done, as everything goes smooth, and we'll be ready for them, we probably won't be doing that transition until August. Hyatt Elementary School, the main portion of the building, so the remainder, this is getting in now to the third series of bond. I kind of have a map here. This is something similar to what you've seen in the past. Those various colors are basically different levels of construction that we're doing. Oh, is this that? So, no. Basically, we're moving the front office there, creating a secure entryway like we did at Linden Elementary School, like we did at this building. We have general renovations that are happening in all the classrooms over there. Casework that's going in so teachers have places to store things. renovations to the cafeteria. We're creating a new entry into the building since we severed the building by adding on the early childhood center. You know, that used to be the main entry off the buses. We now will have kids that will be coming behind the building towards the playground, and you can see the purple. That will be the new main entry for kids that are getting on and off the bus coming in. So a whole reconfiguration of where the current main office is, where the library is, the current computer lab. That whole area will be transitioned into a different use. The media center will maintain a lot of its function, but we'll have a STEM and robotics area that will open up into that. Kind of larger spaces. We're going to have a new room that can be used as a classroom, but it also will tie onto the media center, and it can be used, you know, for other functions too, to kind of create a larger space. And then again, full renovations to the bathrooms, all new ceilings. We have new mechanical, we have new lighting, technology in the classrooms, whiteboards, flooring, paint, you know, the whole 9 yards. Basically what you're seeing here is what we're doing at Pine as well. We're finishing up, we're basically finished with the design and all the intricate design of that, figuring out what we're going to do. Cost estimates from Bart, we've been doing cost estimates all along, we've made modifications. The final cost estimate was just completed 2 days ago by Bart now. We still have not had a chance to review that. We know we're probably going to be a little on the high end to be able to capture everything. Like we've talked about before, we've been looking at the tail end of this and what does the middle school look like. There's things there that we knew that we would be able to pare back. We also have, I don't want to say an abundance, but we have an excess of dollars in the technology side of things still. A lot of those projects that came in under budget, so we have a significant amount of money that we will be using to balance this whole project out. You know, not to give anything back, to still do everything that we want to do, but use money that it's truly all bond money. It's just the way we had it all situated in the bond to begin with. You know, you have to be creative with what you do. So we have this project going out on the street on the 18th of November, and the intent is that we will take this, because of the deer season starting on November 15th. That's a big thing for a lot of these contractors, and then with Thanksgiving falling in there, we're going to give them 3 weeks or 3.5 weeks to provide proposals back to us, and we'll have sealed bids that will be due back to the district on the 5th of December. And it would probably be the second meeting in December that will come to the board, and we'll talk about the plan moving forward. Central Elementary School is basically the exact same. It's a duplicate. We're on the same timelines. We're in the same place with the planning and all the design work. It'll go out to bid with Hyatt. You know, the hope would be some of the larger contractors, smaller ones can bid on some or all. So doing the same thing. The front office is moving out of what's purple on the map that you see to the area in the front of the building that is red or pink, again, to create a secure entry. People have to come in, and you can't get anywhere unless you go through the office and get buzzed into the building. We're creating additional office spaces there, and the darker green area where you can see the cafeteria tables. There are five new offices and also 1 storage facility that we're creating in that area. They have a big need. They don't have a lot of areas for ancillary staff for people to work, you know, in small groups or anything. So that was part of the plan all along. The purple area currently has modular walls and ceiling that aren't real conducive to noise control. So the area in purple is really, the classrooms would be the only area that's going to get a little bit heavier renovation, where we're going to take all the modular walls out of there, rip the ceilings out, build walls that are permanent to try and, you know, get them to the deck so we can control noise and those kinds of things better. What's currently at the office is going to turn into a new STEM robotics area, an open area. It will open up into the media center. So really the core area when you come into that building is going to kind of be something similar to what you might see here, maybe on a smaller scale, but a similar approach. So if they have groups of people, it's right near the front entry, and just again, you know, going to be accustomed to seeing the same kind of treatments that we see in this building with Central. And lastly, the middle school. We're still discussing some of the things that we're, you know, what we're going to do at the middle school. We know our work scopes are going to targeted interior doors for security and hardware. The doors there have been less than ideal since day one. The company that put them in, they've been replaced once. But again, we're going away from having any glass indoors to solid wood doors like that with the same security hardware. So in any kind of emergency, you can simply walk over from the inside and hit a deadbolt, and you're out of sight, out of mind, and easy to lock down. So regardless, doors and hardware, door access control, that's something that we've done throughout the district and will continue to try to get away from keys that are in people's hands. Going to badges, we can activate doors or copy machines or whatever with a single badge now. It's just easy. If you have a problem with somebody, in 5 seconds you turn it off, and if somebody loses their key, you can do the same. So door access control, security camera replacement. That building probably had one of the better security, more state-of-the-art, but again, 20-year-old security cameras. So all of that system will be replaced. The PA system in the building, classroom technology, going to smart boards. We have some HVAC that we want to do, and not necessarily systems. We want to do some things to improve our operational costs. We have areas where our head end is and stuff now that we have to run larger systems to cool some of those spaces, and some areas that are offices of staff that work 12 months that we're overcooling and running equipment that's kind of unnecessary. So we're going to do some things that make sense to try and get more efficient. A backup generator. Failed to mention that on the other 2 elementary schools as we're going through. The high school had a generator. All of the buildings, when we finish this, will have backup generators. And the intent is our emergency systems and our heating systems, not HVAC systems, but our heating systems for wintertime. We have the ability so we don't freeze buildings up. We've had that happen numerous times since I've been here. You get this long stretch of ice storms in January and no means of being able to run equipment. So all of the buildings, once we finish this, will have the ability to run our heating equipment and keep buildings from freezing out. Again, electrical upgrades because of all of the new technology. And then exterior concrete replacement. That has some portable soils up around the middle school. The sidewalks, we've replaced sidewalks and they fail. A lot of it is because of what's underneath those and poor soils. There's water issues that are up there. When we've taken concrete out, there's literally flowing water that comes under some of these. So we will be doing an exterior concrete walkway replacement. Not, throughout, but we will be picking areas that are the worst and trying to shore those all up and put a system in. The engineers are looking at what it's going to take to put something in there that'll last more than, we didn't get 5-6 years before we started getting significant cracking and what have you. So the intent would be to do some upgrades there as well. This work, some of it will happen next year, and probably the remainder of it will carry into the following summer of 26. Doors and hardware, things that aren't heavy on the technology side, we'll probably try and do next year. But it's a real struggle for our technology department to get a building or 2, or in this case it would be a 3rd, online in a really short window at the end of a summer and have everything ready. So it just doesn't make sense. This building, most likely that technology for sure will hold off until the summer of 26. Or something that we do slowly through the year, but not rush it, out like we've tried when we're opening up the building after a complete renovation. That's kind of my update.
All right, thank you very much, Greg. That was a great overview of everything going on. Does anybody have any quick comments for Mr. Vadasz? Mr. Murphy?
Thank you, Mr. Vadasz. Quick question. Can you offer that number up for the middle school or high renovation? You said the estimate. You guys
I don't even have it on me, Steve.
Okay.
I'll get it to you guys. We were in our Tuesday meeting when it came into Bartonella. We had our Tuesday meeting. We were just wrapping that up. He wanted a chance to go through and review that and see what that looks like. We'll have it in our hands. We wanted them to have time to go through and review that.
That's great, thanks.
Any other comments? Mr. Maker?
Greg, I was kind of disappointed when I came in tonight, and I think I can speak for everybody else. I would like my wood chair back from the media center. Because these are a little comfortable with
I don't know if they'll last 50 years like the last ones,
Yeah.
but they are much more.
They won't, because nothing lasts 50 years anymore. All right, thank you very much, Greg.
You're welcome, thank you.
All right, we are moving along now to public comments, and I know we have some, since we have some public here this evening. So Mrs. Keller will read your name in the order in which you handed her the card. Just as a reminder, public comments should be limited to 3 minutes or less, directed towards the board president, and if warranted, will be responded to at or before the next board meeting by the superintendent or myself. All right.
All right, first up, we have Norm Schmidt.
I'm just checking, make sure the mic's on.
That light green.
No, just hit that button there. Thank you. Yes.
Good evening. Norm Schmidt, Treasurer, Argentine Township. We do have a beautiful facility. It's been a while since my kids have graduated from Linden, so congratulations on that. But what I'm really here for tonight is to ask for this Linden schools, if you will, to allow us to hold our elections in the school building. Well, not necessarily the school building, the media center. And there's some good reasons for that, and some of the following speakers will attest to them. But we run out of room for parking mostly. I mean, we seem to handle it, but there's a lot of, we've just grown in Argentine Township, and we haven't grown with facilities to accommodate our folks for elections. So we're asking for that, and as you know, Argentine Township provides you with a lot of services, and we have a tax base here in Argentine Township for Linden School District that's pretty large. We provide you with 24/7 police coverage. We provide you with an SRO officer, even though you pay for that. We supply that for you. So we do a lot of things. We have fire, EMS, special sporting events. We just do a lot of great things, and so we're just asking for the school board to allow us to help our residents in the Linden School District vote and doing so. So I won't go into all the details because everyone else that's here tonight to talk about this subject matter will have probably a different look in a different department. But again, we've asked numerous times to hold elections. We haven't been successful. This time we're in real need for help, and we'd like you to give us some good consideration for that, if you would, please. And I thank you for the time.
Next up, we have Jason Kosofsky.
Hi, everybody, how you guys doing tonight? Jason Kosofsky, 9046 Pineview Lake Court. I am running as a write-in candidate for Township Supervisor this year. The election was close. I lost by 4 votes in the primary, so I'm running as a candidate. So as part of running for the write-in candidate, hopefully the school board can show off the multi-purpose center for the election. Sitting up there for 9 days of early voting at the Township Hall, watching all those cars coming through, sitting there on election day, there was a lot of traffic within the Township Hall. We really need to use a bigger facility to hold the election, and what a great opportunity for the school board and for the community to see the multi-purpose center. The multi-purpose center is phenomenal. It's really a great opportunity for people who haven't been here to actually look and see what's going on. Plus enjoy the buzz that's going on with all the new renovations, and give back a little bit of peace to the community and show them what's going on with the schools. I'll say the rest for everybody else, because I know there's a lot more people with comments and thoughts on this. Thanks.
Gwen James.
Gwen James, 7432 Majestic Woods, Linden. I'm also here on behalf of Argentine Township. First of all, I do want to say I'm super excited about the trophy case because the lacrosse trophies have been in my home office for the last 4 years, just waiting for a home here. So I'm looking forward to that being wrapped up. But, anyway, I'm here representing the township. I'm the current clerk, and along with me are other board members and staff and officers from our fire department. And excuse me for reading my notes, but those of you who know me know that public speaking is like my biggest nightmare. My husband loves a microphone, but not me. So anyway, we're here tonight looking for your help, as Norman and Jason have already stated. For years, we've held township elections at the fire hall. Our fire department has been gracious and helpful, and we've worked together to run effective elections, but it's just not a great option for lots of reasons. And I know in the past there were many concerns with allowing elections in the schools, but now we have the multi-purpose building, so hopefully that would take some of those concerns away and allow us to have safe elections in the school district building. We believe that has made a change. With our current setup, our fire department has to remove all their trucks, all their vehicles, all their heavy equipment. This is not a great option for many reasons. Of course, this is a safety issue. If they get a call, their equipment is in one place, they have heavy equipment in one place, other equipment in another place, and it delays their response time. So that's the biggest issue. Their equipment has also been damaged, having been off-site in very bad weather, not having the protection of being in the fire hall. So there's many reasons why our fire department would love to see it moved, although they have been gracious and ever so helpful for years, allowing us to have the elections in their facility. In addition, assessing our limited parking. And I don't know if any of you vote in Argentine Township, but if you have, it's like a life or death situation pulling in and out of that parking lot on election day. So that, of course, is a huge safety concern as well. So there's many reasons why the fire hall is not a good fit for elections. We just welcome the opportunity to begin a discussion with you just about options, and we just believe that the multipurpose building has created a new option. There really aren't a lot of buildings, really there are no buildings in our township large enough to hold elections. Churches aren't large enough, they don't have the parking, they're not large enough inside, so it's really a great viable option. Our fire chief is here tonight to answer any questions you may have, to further explain our need to move elections out of their station. And I do want to reiterate one thing. To be clear, it's just the election day, not the 9 days of early voting. That would still take place at the township hall. So it would just be election day. So I know my time is up. Just wanted to thank you for allowing me to speak tonight, and just look forward to getting this conversation going. So thank you for your time.
Tara Phillips.
Tara Phillips, Linden, Michigan. I'm speaking in regards to any school in Linden that has to follow policy 2264. Lake Fenton Schools lawyers Collins and Blaha recommended they do not adopt policy 2264 as worded by Neola. They, the board, took their lawyer's recommendation and didn't adopt this policy. Fenton School District went against their lawyers Collins and Blaha recommendation and adopted wording presented by Neola on policy 2264. The vote to approve was 6-1 vote. Linden Schools adopted policy 2264 with no discussion, which confused me. According to the letter that went out regarding the Title IX Policy 2264, it stated it was also recommended by the legal firms that are used by Linden Community Schools, from Law, and Collins and Blaha that a policy be adopted, as Title IX regulations remain the law in Michigan. So a policy must be adopted. Does that mean that the policy Neola recommended could have had bare minimum wording just as Lake Fenton Schools? I'm confused why Collins and Blaha made recommendations to Lake Fenton and Fenton did not adopt the policy as worded. Did Linden not receive the same message from Collins and Blaha? Policy 2264 264 as adopted opens up our district to more lawsuits, especially if we have parents who have signed up for Moms for Liberty. The Moms for Liberty case provides protection against Biden's Title IX rules being implemented because of an injunction granted to them stating any school who has a child as a student of a current or future Moms for Liberty member is protected from the new Title IX rules. I spoke with the Moms to Liberty member regarding the court case, and she indicated our school would not have been able to hide behind Title IX changes and are poorly advised by their attorneys. I have a hard copy which I presented to each one of you board members today to review in regards to the Moms for Liberty Title IX case. This case should eventually end up in Supreme Court. Parents can also look into GEI, Great Education Initiative, to protect their kids, which our board should be aware of. They have opt-out documentation for parents and information about joining them to build a case for Michigan. One of the primary law firms representing public schools in Michigan is Thrun. Thrun is encouraging school districts to continue to move forward with the Biden-Harris redefinition of Title IX. If GEI can successfully obtain an injunction in Michigan and demonstrate that their members are directly affected by the Title IX changes, they can build an injunction case for Michigan. Becoming a member strengthens their case, but also increases their chances of securing the necessary injunction to stop the implementation of these policy changes in Michigan. Once again, I would like to stress this can potentially open our district to more lawsuits since policy 2264 was adopted. Thank you for your time.
Sherry Talley Masali.
How are you doing? I'm here because it started on August 27th. I got a phone call from my granddaughter's 6th grade math teacher at the middle school stating that they needed to remove the STEM class for my granddaughter and put her into a math intervention. And I was kind of curious as to why. They're telling me that she's not meeting the expectations. So I looked at 3 years pre-lockdowns at your proficient and meets expectation scores. And then I looked at your current one for 2023 to 24. Are we not doing anything regarding language arts and math? Our scores are horrible. And it's 3 years past lockdown. 3 years pre-lockdown, we were still in the, low 50s to close to 60% proficient. Okay, that's 3rd, 5th, and 8th graders. Okay, we've had 3 years, and I understand y'all talk about a lot of things. So I'm just wondering how much money is being spent on these core subjects that these kids are in need of, because in the lockdowns, I'm going to tell you, what happened sucked, because your teachers were, and granted, they were under a lot of stress too, but so were the parents and grandparents trying to catch their children up in math and science and do everything while working, if they were working. But I don't see where our numbers are even getting any better. So, I mean, how much money is being spent per student? Are we getting more money? Where's the money going for extra help for language arts and math? I think that should be a top priority. That is what you're getting these M-STEP done on the 3rd, 5th, and 8th graders. Should you not be focusing with adding more teachers, maybe helpers in the classrooms? You know, letting the parents know, hey, you know, your student is struggling. I didn't even realize that my granddaughter got a D+. She went from a B to a D last year. Had no clue. She fluctuates maybe a grade, but where was the phone calls back before class ended? She had one missing assignment, and if she was struggling, I wish they would have told me before that. So I'm just asking, how much money per student are we getting since 2018? And if we're getting more per student, then why are you not supporting the students with getting extra staff or extra workers to come in and help in the classrooms? We had 18 to 1 was the ratio I don't know what your ratio is now. I mean, it's gotta be 25-1. Is that acceptable? I mean, is our scores 50% acceptable? Only half of your students are proficient? I mean, I'm gonna tell you no. As much as I love this area, your scores aren't looking, I mean, your buildings are beautiful. I love all the upgrades. Upgrade the students' education, please.
Matt Frederick.
Matt Frederick, I'm the current, I'm planning commission for Argentine Township, and I also won the primary for treasurer, and if I probably will follow through and win the general, because I know how it goes, but I'm here to talk about the use of the multi-purpose for the election also. A lot of people are going to talk, so I'll be brief. I was there for the whole election. We had officers out directing traffic and set up on patrol. We had fire trucks parked all over the place. We all have to remember, we all could have an emergency situation, and it'd be a tragedy if they couldn't get there because they were directing traffic or they couldn't get to their trucks. Thank you.
Ed Rankley.
Good evening, I'm Ed Rankley. Luckily, I won a primary election for Argentine Township trustee. Nobody's run against me in December, or November rather, so theoretically, I should get in. I'd like to see if we can get a little better communication between the district and the township. I spent 23 years working for Brighton area schools. I'm very familiar with how a board works. I'm very familiar with how school financing works. It's all fun. One of the things I'd like to discuss, if we could, we know about the election thing. If there was any spare money at all, the current speed limit signs for school are just a blank sign, and every time I go by, I go, what time is it? Is there a chance that some funding could be found to make those as flashing, changing signs? And other than that, the township certainly needs some cooperation to solve the election issues. They are real and they are desperate. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Jeremy Kurtz.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jeremy Kurtz, current fire chief, Argentine Fire and Rescue. Just here to support the township board and the election committee about possibly using the multi-purpose building for the elections. It does put a strain on the fire department, as everybody said. Our apparatus is scattered all through the township. We don't have a designated spot to put it. We can't use our CAD systems to 911, so we have to rely on strictly radio communications only, which could lead to miscommunications. As they were saying, traffic around the township hall. If I have to come from my house and drive past the township hall where they're trying to direct traffic, I may not get through to get to my apparatus. The other problem that we have with the apparatus is the fact that, not that we're going to probably be able to use a multi-purpose building this year, but most of our apparatus has to sit outside, has water, cold weather in November. Our water lines can freeze up on a truck, cause other damage. We have to keep it running 24/7 outside there, which is an additional cost on my end because I have to keep fueling the trucks. So we're just trying to ask that you guys consider possibly letting us use that for the elections. I know Mr. Soselsky, you came into a board meeting a few years back with your proposal, asking for our support, which everybody did. I know some of the things you brought up were possibly using the building for stuff like this here. So we're just kindly asking you guys to consider possibly letting us do that. It'll save up on a lot of traffic, especially at nighttime. People are parked across the street or trying to cross Silver Lake Road. That puts a lot of people's lives at jeopardy possibly. It's all on a safety statute here. The other reason I was stopping by tonight too is the fact that we did do a walkthrough in the multipurpose building. Greg took us through there at one point. What we're trying to do is get plans, layout plans for, especially the high school being redone now, but for Central, the middle school, the high school, and the multipurpose building, so we can do our pre-planning, as the fire department. I know we had an issue with Central here a couple months back, and the alarms going off on the school. We couldn't access the roof because we had no idea where it was at. It was in a room that was unfortunately unlocked. But when we went to go to the stairway to get up to the roof line, it was blocked by tables and chairs. So that's another issue. We just don't know the layouts of the school, so we're just trying to get some plans so we can actually know where everything is actually at. Exit routes, classrooms, all that stuff there. So, and then, I don't know if this is a question for Greg. Did you guys ever get a knock box put on the multipurpose building yet for access? No. Is that in the plans to get done?
No, we're going with badges, so
Okay.
we can provide those.
All right, because I know we got knock boxes on all the other school buildings, and we're just looking at access if nobody's available. So, something to consider and getting the fire and police access to that building if necessary. So,
We can work all over you right after on those, because I have talked to Chief Allen
okay,
about that stuff
okay,
recently.
all right. Other than that, thank you. Appreciate it.
Tabitha Rambert.
Tabitha Rambert. Sorry, a lot of some of the things I was going to say actually got addressed, and then I had a little speech written, but you addressed some of it already at the beginning. So I want to thank the board for going back to the original policies of the 2020 Title IX. I'm kind of confused on why Argentine Elementary would have a different policy for one building when we are one district. So it's odd to me that we're going to keep 2264 in one and then enforce another in another building. And if that's the case, I can assure you that there will be an Argentine Elementary parent that signs up for that lawsuit. When I spoke at the last meeting, obviously word got around of what Ms. Phillips and I had said. I was so shocked that this board did not discuss these policies because I knew back in August that there were members of this community that had joined that lawsuit. And when the board president said in the beginning when you guys passed this, we have to pass this because it's the law. It was not the law. You're being told it's the law. It was not the law. So the fact that you're listening to the federal injunction because now you're forced to because it was published, the case is State of Kansas versus the U.S. Department of Education, case number 24-4041-JWB. You can find Linden Schools on page 80. On August 16th, SCOTUS denied the Department of Education's expansion request to include sex stereotypes, sexual orientation, gender identity, and sex characteristics. This policy that you guys are acting like it's just only bathrooms and locker rooms, it's more than this. If you go to the Department of Education's website and you look at this, it's forcing staff and other students to use pronouns. We can call anyone whatever name they want to be called. But if my daughter doesn't want to call a biological male student, she, her, my daughter could get in trouble for the same punishment as if she was to use the N-word against an African-American student. A staff member who's not in the teachers union, if they use the wrong pronoun to a kid that maybe doesn't like them because not all kids like the teachers, that teacher can get in trouble. So this policy of 2264 and 2266 is way bigger than what has been characterized. And I don't care what happens on social media, but me and Tara were right on the last meeting. And I apologize if there was any misconstruction from other community members. We have no issue with the LGBT community. Most of this community, their parents were from Gen X. We grew up on Boy George, like Twisted Sister, Kiss, you name it. We don't have issues with that. What we have problems with is it seems like some of these kids in the LGBT community are being targeted. You guys didn't think that these I'm Here badges would be used by our staff. And when we seen the filth that some of these teachers were showing these children in the LGBT community, we were heartbroken. We had to stop this. So when we say these policies, it's not because we hate
a movement. We're trying to protect our educators, our students, and our staff, and you guys need to watch what's coming because more is coming. Thank you.
I believe it's June or Joan Ball.
Joan Ball. It's never been my business to decide for other families what to do with their children's welfare. And I'm older probably than more of you here, and I've stuck with that premise. A biological male has totally different chromosomes. And we need to think about the repercussions of what we're doing here with male and female sharing bathroom showers and the like. For a male to become a female, it costs $25,600 to start, and it goes much higher. And a lot of these families probably can't afford it, so they don't do from the waist down. Females are so vulnerable to stripping down their clothes in changing rooms or to shower. They also have to deal with menstrual cycles, and they should not be sharing bathrooms with males, biological or otherwise. It's a very personal thing. It's not proper or safe. I respectfully request, as well as other parents in this room, that we take action and set up unisex bathrooms and showers if needed. 96% or more of the population should not have to change the norm to 3 or 4% that are transgendering or otherwise. It will cost significantly more if sexual incidents happen in the schools and get sued. Our property tax dollars wisely used and set up unisex facilities will solve the problem. Thank you.
All right, moving along now to our consent agenda this evening. On the consent agenda are minutes from our regular meeting on August 14th and minutes of our closed session meeting also on August 14th. Do I have a motion and support to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved. Support.
Oh, okay, that's okay. Well,
So
let's,
sorry.
let's just finish this motion since we've made a motion and support, and then we'll go back and the final public comment. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Let's just go back to the public comment section.
I apologize, I'm sorry, I must get stuck behind one of them. So Shelley or
Thank you. Thank you for listening to me. It's a little easier than last time. Okay. I wanted to start off with this first, it's not on my timeline, but from the policy manual of the Board of Member Ethics Bylaws 000 from Linden Schools, it states that under B, as members of the Board of Education, board members will strive to improve public education and to that end they will, under B, recognize that they should endeavor to make policy decisions only after full discussion at publicly held board meetings. Thank you. There's more highlighted, you guys can look at it. Thank you. Anyways, I'm trying not to be nervous. Okay. Speaker Mike Johnson on June 26, 2024 said Title IX original law had only 37 words because it was a very clear, common sense approach to giving women equal opportunity. Biden's executive order was 14021 is 1.5 pages long. The Department of Education and Office of Civil Rights Rules and Regulations made after this order is 423 pages long. I haven't had time to read it. I only found about this stuff about 3 weeks ago. I read what I could, but it's hard to understand, it's all lingo. But I found something very interesting in my studies. Hopefully I have time to get it. The history of Title IX. It started in 1972, enacted by Richard Nixon. There's many times that people try to make amendments. From the time of May 1974 until, I wrote it down, May 13th of 2016, every amendment tried to be made on here had to do with athletics. So they try to tell you that Title IX is not going to affect, this doesn't include into athletics with transgenders. This is all about athletics and funding for athletics. So I please would ask all of you to please reread many of these policies.
I also found this is very important to me, that I found this. So this is title, sorry. Calm down. This is from the U.S. Department of Justice on May 13, 2016. This was a letter to include transgenders and, what do you call that? I'm sorry, gender identity in Title IX. It was, I'm sorry, I was a little bit more. On February 20th, okay. May 16, 2016, the ED and the DOJ issued guidance on protecting transgender students. In February 22nd, 2017, the OCR, the Office of Civil Rights, rescinded its guidance on transgender students. This is what I want you to see. When you go online and you find this document, it says rescinded. This document has been formally rescinded by the department and remains available on the web for historic purposes only, right? The next document, which you'll note was rescinded, this was rescinded, the transgender policy. On the very top of it, this was rescinded on February 22nd, 2017. On the very top of it says, under review as of April 30th, 2021. This document and underlying issues are under review in light of Executive Order 13988 on preventing and combating discrimination on the basis of gender identity or sexual orientation. OCR and TRT are committed to ensuring that all students, including LGBTQ students, are able to learn and thrive in a safe environment. Okay, so that responds to this. Sex-segregated activities and facilities. Restrooms and locker rooms. Athletics. Single-sex classes. Single-sex schools. Social fraternities and sororities. Housing and overnight accommodations, and other sex-specific activities and rules. They want to add all of these in here. This was already rescinded. They're trying to bring these back. I would please ask all of you to look into this and read every single line before you vote on something like this again. It's way, way deeper than you ever imagined. Oh, no, this is I think so. Oh.
I would just ask that you politely wrap up.
Okay.
Gone over
I have a
your
quick message. Oh, I just have a quick message after listening, sorry. And I'm gonna leave can I leave my resources with Steve before I leave? Can I hand my resources to Steve over there?
It should come to me.
Oh, you, okay.
I can share anything, or you can email anybody on the board that you want any of these documents.
I just have one recommendation, if you just want to listen to me. I would recommend that more than one board member attend legislative or policy change meetings that involve all children in our schools. We need to have more than one opinion of what they take from those policies that they have learned. So it's just a recommendation that I suggest. But otherwise, thank you for listening to me.
All right, we're moving along now to the action items that we have for this evening. The first action item is the 2024-2025 course list. This is an annual requirement for school districts' Board of Education to adopt for the Michigan Pupil Accounting. I know this is quite a list. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to look through it. It is the administrative recommendation to approve and adopt the 2024-25 course list as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Support.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any comments or questions on the course list as presented? All right, I guess the only comment that I have is I feel like over the years, this list has gotten a lot easier to look through. So thank you to whoever is responsible for fixing her up. It was a lot easier than the first few times we went through it, so thank you. All right, there's a motion and support to approve and adopt the 2024-25 course list as presented. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Our second action item this evening is to approve for John Rainierson to attend the MASB CBA 101 Fundamentals of School Board Service. Mr. Rainierson would like to begin his CBA 100 courses, and the CBA 101 Fundamentals of School Board Service is the first in that series. So I guess I will just ask for a motion and support to approve John Rainierson's attendance at the MASB CBA 101 Fundamentals of School Board Service.
So moved. Support.
been moved in. Seconded, are there any comments or questions on this? I guess the only comment I have is, oh, sorry, I didn't see you, Brooke. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to thank you for going ahead and taking the class to get some background on how the school board actually works, so thank you.
Yes, thank you. We're gonna have to do something, put this tall microphone in the way the tables are. Yeah, there we go. Scott's head, I can see you. Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Thank you. You've been on the board such a short period of time and already jumping in to give some of this board member education is really important. It helps us individually and as a whole board, which obviously feeds back to help the entire district. So thank you, John. So it has been moved and supported to approve John Renier's attendance at MASB CBA 101. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, we have a few discussion items this evening. The first up is to appoint the Linden Community Schools delegate and alternate for the MASB Delegate Assembly on October 24th. We know that this is an annual thing that we have to do. We have a delegate and alternate to be at the delegate assembly to understand any updated guidance from the state's level on suggested school board recommendations, guidance, policy. We need to certify this by October 4th, so we'll need to vote on this at the next meeting. I think Mrs. Hanson said she was going to be there anyway, so kind of volunteered at one point to be the delegate. I don't know if there's any other board members planning to attend the annual leadership conference that might want to be an alternate. It's in Linden, right?
Yeah, it's in Lansing again.
All right, I can be the alternate. I know you'll be there.
Yeah, I'll be there, so.
No pressure.
Don't need to worry, I'll
Okay.
be there.
All right. We didn't have to volunteer anyone this time. All right, very good. So we can probably put down Brooke as the delegate, myself as the alternate, unless anybody else is just jumping out of their chair to attend this. And we'll go ahead and put that on as a action item for the next meeting then. All right, next up is the MASB Diamond Anniversary Give Back. We talked about this at the last meeting briefly regarding the $750 give back from MASB to give us some additional board professional development. However, we're interested, we do need to complete the form on their website to let them know how we plan to spend these funds by the end of we have till the end of next June. I know we threw out a couple of suggestions, one being use it, because we know after the election, we're gonna have at least one, possibly two more new board members to do some CBA 100 or 101 training. It was also suggested we do a full board workshop and some updated legal information, and are also, forgot the other one you suggested. Student discipline, yeah, I thought that was a good idea as well. So those were kind of ideas we threw out the last meeting. I don't know if anybody's had a chance to think about it since then, has other suggestions, but throw it out there. Mr. Murphy?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm just pretty resolute that I think we need to invest in the legal aspects. I mean, we've heard just examples tonight where, and I know in the past we've had Neola updates where we've fought back on them and not approved them. So I think we need to understand that can be what happens. We've taken Neola as far too much as the law of the land, and it's just simply not. So I think as a board, if we had a little more legal background, we'd be more confident in challenging some of these things that come across our desk.
Yeah, and that would be part of it, not completely what the workshop would be on, but that would definitely be part of it. So, yeah, I mean, if does anybody else have suggestions or agree with that thought? Mr. Maker?
Thanks, Mrs. Luck. I was just going to say, I would be supportive of it being used more for an overall board collective training opportunity. As you mentioned, Mr. Reinierson is new. If he is reelected and we have another new board member, that's a significant number of people changing over on the board where, having some of that collective time to share and exchange information would be very beneficial. So my point would just be making sure that it is more of a collective approach in utilizing that money with MASB for some training.
I think that sounds good. And maybe we shoot for like a late January or late February timeline to do a workshop. I know MASB does a lot of different things during that time, and that's when we'll have our new board settled. So that would be good. Just as a reminder, it probably will cost us more than $750 to do that type of workshop, but at least that takes, a good portion of the financial burden off of the district. You know, if it's another few $100s more than that, I think that's well worth the professional development. And the individual trainings also are still being discounted at $100 per training as well. So most of the individual courses, with the exception of the 101, are still at like $99, and we get up to $100 reimbursed. So just that as a reminder, if anybody wants to do individual coursework, that's been still being reimbursed by the state as well. So, all right. Well, I think that gives us some good guidance then. So Mr. Soselski and I can chat a little bit after the meeting, and we'll look to complete a workshop early in the next calendar year, somewhere along the realm of maybe we can somehow get them to do like a little dual for us with legal and student discipline, because they kind of go, some of that goes hand in hand too, so that might work. All right, very good. I still can't get over, I'm not the only one doing this with the microphone tonight. We're all trying to push the microphone down further. We're used to different ones that move differently. All right, the next discussion item this evening is the emergency operations update. So again, this is something that we have to update every so often. Mr. Soselski, do you want to give a little overview on this? I know everybody's had a chance to kind of look through it a little bit, but.
Yeah, we are required by law to update our EOP at least every other year with the Board of Education. We've gotten to the habit now, I think, for the last 3 years of doing it annually. And part of the process through the GISD, we actually have committee meetings. I'm part of that. Our SRO, Jeremy Williams, and I did forget it, but Ken Engel did attend the meetings as well, SRO from Argentine Township. And we go through the EOP, which in our school building is known as the Big Red Binder. We go through some of the updates, whether they be legal updates, best practice, and as you see with the information in front of you, those are the red line items, including the history of some of the changes that have taken place, I believe, since 2018. And so this information, again, we have, I have discussed it with building principals. We have started some of the process, because every year they get copies of it. They go through and they update it based on their buildings with the information that applies to their buildings. The other piece of it is the flip charts that are in all of our classrooms, which describe, as you see and as you hopefully are used to, escape patterns, escape routes, shelter in place, what to do in a threatened situation. There are some bullet points in each of those flip charts based on the situation for our students and our staff.
All right. Any comments, discussion on this item? Pending further information, and if we don't have anything further, it'll be put on the next agenda for approval under consent. But this is something that's pretty standard. I know even at my place of employment, we update all of the emergency planning annually and have the same flip charts and all of that. So it's good that we're staying right on top of that. All right. Seeing nothing else on that, we will move forward to the next discussion item, which is the Linden SRO contract extension. And this is something where, again, we have a lot of information to review on here. This contract extension is looking just a little bit different than the last time in both the cost to the district and the length of the contract. I don't know if Mr. Soselski, if you want to throw anything else out there on this, or if anyone has any questions on this contract. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to look through it. In my opinion, nothing seems unreasonable, both with cost to the district or contract time. I think having Officer Williams down in our lower elementary buildings is invaluable. It's proved to be good for our students and our community, I believe, and we can't really put a price tag on our student safety. So in my mind, a little bit of cost increase to the district is not out of line. Mr. Murphy? It's just a discussion item, so we'll take action at the next meeting unless you particularly want to make a motion this evening on it. Okay.
Just one thing that, we've been fortunate to get a little help from the state on paying for this cost. Now, next year is the last year. It's in December of 2025.
That is correct. December 2025.
So do we get a match prorated amount per month, or do we just get like 1 year's half support? Is that what it's a flat half support, or is it
basically
$28,000?
basically the way the grant works with the state is they have different reporting periods, and so, and I couldn't give you the exact timing between those, but I believe there's only a total of 10 reporting periods, I believe 10 reporting periods with this grant. So on 10 different occasions, we submit receipts, we submit invoices, if you will, we submit the paperwork that justifies the cost that we paid, and then the state reimburses us at 50% back to our state aid.
So the average, if I average the 4-year salaries, it's like $61,120. So if we were to just make that the rate for each of the next 4 years, instead of the staggered rate that starts at 58,350, goes to 62,813. If we went 60, would we get more help because the 58 number? If we're getting 50% of that, if we got 50% of 61,000, that would be better.
Well, as far as the grant, are you
Yeah.
talking?
Yeah.
So when we submitted the grant, we had to give, and then, again, we brought it to the board, we had to give an estimated amount of how much we would spend over that 3-year period. And I believe the grant total, I believe it was in the $80,000 range. And I say that because I don't know, I don't have exactly, but that total grant reimbursement, the 50% reimbursement back. But it was in that range.
So we've been under the 80,000 all 3
Total for the
years
3
so
years.
far?
Total for the 3 years of the
Total.
50% back that we would get based on the estimates we submitted.
Is that 80,000, everybody got 80,000 on the state?
No. No, this was through a separate Michigan State Police grant.
Yep. So the bottom line is, are we gonna get the full value of the 80,000 in the end?
Yes.
Regardless of how much we're paying per year for the next schedule of 4 years?
Yes. Yeah, we'll get the fully, again, I don't know the exact number, but we'll get the full amount through the grant.
And then okay, so even though it could be, the net amount could be more than half of what we owe in 2025, 45, the 58,000, 29,000, could it be half of that?
I guess I'm not understanding that piece of the question.
Well, you said you get 50% reimbursement. Well, 24 or 25 is scheduled to be 58,350. So 29,175 would be your half.
When we did the estimates, we did it based on a percentage and talking to the chief of what the expectation was, because they did not have a contract for 24, 25.
Right.
So we used the percent increase from the first 2 years when we signed on with Linden as that third. And again, just to give you the accurate numbers of what we submitted was for reviews. So our estimate in 24-25 was approximately $56,150.82. So we based the grant on that number.
Which is going to be more than that.
I'm sorry?
It's going to be more than that.
That is correct.
So we're not going to get the full half of that year. We're not going to get the full half of that year then. If we're 28 and you estimate
Well,
26.
again, with the 10 reporting periods, and based on the December of 25, yes, we're not going to get the full half of that year.
The question is, will we get a couple months out of the 25, 26 school year coverage?
Yes,
Because it ends in December.
correct.
So we get a couple, 3, 4
That
months.
is correct.
Okay, well, like I said, it's nice to see that the growth of the contract stabilized after 3 years and they were able to come back with the same number for the fourth year. Because we were heading out close to 4% bumps every year. So, we need to have the security and they do a great job. And so, I guess it's just something we just like. Thank you.
All right, any other comments or questions? Mr. Maker?
Thanks, Mrs. Luck. Yeah, I'm just glad to see how this has evolved. I realize the numbers are up, and as Mr. Murphy mentioned, 4% increases, but dealing with the security business in my job, I know how much just contract security services have gone up significantly. And I know, and not to speak what would be deemed negatively about contract security, you kind of get what you get, and you get what you pay for. And if you really want to get what we're receiving from both Linden and Argentine when it comes to the SROs in our buildings, they're kind of unparalleled. You wouldn't be able to get that from a contract house for security. So what we've seen, some of the interactions we've had, our discussions in closed session last meeting, we gained an awful lot for our buildings that isn't obvious to the community, where our staff and our students and our community are really benefiting from the professionalism of our law enforcement agencies here in the area. So I'm just glad to see that, and I'm very supportive. The increase is there, but in this day and age, those aren't monumental or a no-go situation for me. So I just appreciate the work you put in cooperation with Chief and City of Linden.
Yeah, Mr. Anderson.
Does this grant go back up for a rebid at all?
At this time, again, this grant was through the Michigan State Police, and they have not offered it up again. Not to say they will or they won't, or as Mr. Murphy mentioned, it may come from the state next time, right?
Sure.
Yeah, don't know that.
Okay.
I think just to piggyback off Mr. Baker's comments just real quick as well, it's nice to have that consistency too of Officer Williams at those buildings. The students get to know him. They, appreciate his presence, the same for the staff, and that's nice. This kind of stemmed from the contract renewal from the City of Linden to the police department, and so I feel like that gives us pretty good peace of mind as well that Officer Williams will be, the SRO, hopefully for at least the next 4 years down there, so, that's good. All right. Seeing no other discussion on that, we do not have a closed session this evening, so at 7:27, our meeting is adjourned.